Well,
Let's see,
first off, I
somebody
want to
said,
say thank you so much for even having me. So thank you.
yeah, yeah. Well, thanks for coming on. And thanks to everybody for hopping on, whoever's on right now. This is the 10th Chats with Fire, and Ronnie and I have been talking for a while about coming on, and schedules got hectic. My mom was in town, so we are here now
Yeah.
in the midst of power outages and whatnot. But thank you for being
We'll
flexible.
make
I
this
super
work.
appreciate it. Exactly.
Uh,
Uh, yeah, so I figured if you want to go ahead and start with like an introduction, kind of tell people like maybe your background in fire, how you got into it, and what you do now, because I think what you do now is pretty cool.
awesome. Cool. Well, I'm Ronni O. I'm a former Wildland firefighter. I did 5 seasons in Idaho on an engine crew. I do have a little bit of hand crew experience as well, like a little. I did like a stint of it. And I absolutely fell in love with it. I had no intentions of being a wildland firefighter whatsoever. One of my best friends right out of high school, she was like, hey, let's go do this with me. And she's one of those friends that like gets you out of your comfort zone and like pushes you to do something in like a good way. Um, so I was just like, yeah, sure, let's do it. And I absolutely fell in love with it. I had, like I said, I think it was a God thing because I had zero intentions. I never thought of being a firefighter ever. And I did it right out of high school, and it was just so awesome. I was able to go into college and then do fire in the summertime. So I just
Nice.
wonderful. So I had a great experience. I was able to stay home with my family and fight fire. So I know some people, and I think it's so cool when people get out of their state or whatever and go and do fight fire in a different state. I always thought that was so cool. So you interviewed Robin, which is super crazy because I went to high school and I fought fire with her husband. And
Oh, wow.
yeah, and I just found her on TikTok one day because I like following people who do fire, and come to find out she was married to him, and I was like, holy cow, it's so crazy.
Yeah. Man, fire's such a small world. That's cool.
So yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, so
Yeah.
I did it out of high school, and so now I joined the military, and I joined the military to do fire. However, the military had completely different plans for me. So I'm doing like communications with the military, and it's the complete opposite. I'm inside on a computer in a building with no windows. So it's like the complete opposite of fire. So I'm like really craving. I always said I'm going to go back to fire, and I still haven't. I've been in for 13 years. So,
Okay. It sounds
but
like dispatch, like
yeah.
being in the room. Like, it's cool, but at some point you're like, I need to go outside and see sunlight and do things and like dig in the dirt. Like, I
Yeah.
totally get it. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. So since I can't do right now because I'm committed, I have a contract to be in the military. I'm able to do volunteer work on weekends. I haven't done it for a while because I deployed to Afghanistan and then I got pregnant a couple times. So it's just been like I haven't been able to get back into it. But I did do a couple fires for volunteer, which was kind of cool. And
Nice. Yeah.
yeah, so now I guess I just teach because I can't really do right now. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Which, I mean, that's really cool if you know your current situation where you're like, yeah, I can't be involved with it how I would like to be, but you're still making the best of your situation. That's
Yeah.
phenomenal.
Ah, cool. Thanks. So
Yeah.
yeah, I just want to be able to, like I said, I never thought of fire as even an option. I just kind of want to put that out there for people like, hey, this is an option. So if you're interested in it, like here's some things about it. Like I don't get money or anything from like the Forest Service or BLM or for recruiting anyone. I want to just put that out there like, hey, I think that you gain some excellent skills, you meet amazing people, you get experiences, like life experience, and I just think it's really, really cool. So I think it's a good opportunity for people. Definitely has its challenges for sure, but I think that helps grow character and, just builds you up as a person. So
Yeah.
I just want to, help out where I can.
Yeah. Well, and I think so. I mean, there's probably some people that would either be like on right now watching, or even, people that might listen later. They might not really know what you actually do. So do you want to kind of talk about, like, I guess maybe how, well, you kind of said how you got into it, but like, what you do, like what kind of outlets? Because I know you have like a YouTube channel, you just came out with an ebook, like you have all of these things. Like I see your face in my feed and you're like giving all these tricks and stuff, and it's so cool. Um, yeah, so why
So,
don't you go ahead and kind of chat on that?
yeah, so I know sometimes it can be kind of difficult, especially if you're new and trying to get into things. Like, kind of the fire world is kind of difficult to find some resources. Yeah, you can kind of dig around. So I just kind of want to bring to light of, like, here's some resources for you to help you get started or get going. So I do have a YouTube channel where it's kind of, I don't have like specific topics every week. I know I probably should plan that out better. But I really want to hear from my community of, like, what is it that you guys need from me? I'm here to serve you. So if you need some information on stuff. So I have the YouTube channel. I built my website to have tons of resources on there, like checklists and ebooks. So it's really cool. So the Facebook group Wildland Firefighting, Wildland Firefighters. If you're not on there, I would recommend going and getting on there. You'll hear from all kinds of people on there. But I posted, I think it was in 2020, of like, hey, what is some advice you would give someone who's getting into wildland firefighting? And so all of those comments that I got, I reached out to all of those people, so it's like over 300 people, and asked them, like, hey, are you okay if I put this into a resource for people? Because these people have a wealth of knowledge. There's just so much experience. They're just dripping. So if you're not in that community, I really think that you should be. But I wanted to put a resource together for people. So there's an ebook. I have it up on Amazon now. So it's called Advice from Seasoned Wildland Firefighters. So you can get that. And I just really feel like it's just a way for you to kind of get ahead of the game a little bit, and kind of pick the brains of people. It's their real raw comments. Some people have some raw comments.
Yeah.
But I want it to be that way because that's how it is,
Yeah.
So,
absolutely.
and
I think.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. You're on a roll.
And I think some of the comments are completely contradictory to one another, and I did that on purpose because you need to see, like, people have different opinions and different experiences, and so you kind of just have to take what you want from people from that experience, because one person will be like, you should totally get into it, it's the greatest job ever, and the next person's like, don't do it.
Yeah.
And I want you to have that because it's real, like, so yeah.
I think that's so important, though, to have like legitimate thoughts and people's real opinions, instead of covering it all with a blanket statement and make it look so wonderful or make it look so terrible. Either way, like, I mean, I've talked about this with other people. Like, everybody has a different experience, different perspectives, different outlooks. Like, sometimes even like after I do a live, somebody will comment and be like, yeah, that was like really cool and helpful. And other people say, well, I really don't agree with that necessarily, and here's why, and blah, blah, blah. And I think it's just really important to have that conversation out in the open so people can kind of form their own opinions and not be swayed one way or another.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just an open conversation, and that's like, I love that, because then people just get like, it's this way, and you're like, no, actually there's a variety. So
yeah, for sure. That's super cool. And the fact, I was just gonna say, I mean, the fact that you saw that need where you looked around and thought, hey, nobody else is doing this, and you kind of filled that gap. It's like, we're out there and they say, oh, get in where you fit in. Like, you kind of did that in your current situation too, which is really neat to know, like, cool, this needs to be done. I'm going to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, it's kind of hard when you get onto YouTube and like Google stuff. I mean, you see people's fire season, like they'll do like their montage of the year, but there wasn't really like a a resource for people like who had specific questions to get in and get answered, like, you know, how do you get into wildland firefighting? I don't even know where to start. Or, you know, just like specific topics that I wasn't able to find. So I was like, all right, well, let's put that out there and we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I
And
know,
so
like,
far, I mean, it's been a positive. The majority of people have been amazing. Yeah, you'll get a few comments of people not being so nice, but, you know, it is what it is.
I mean, not everybody is everybody else's cup of tea, and that's fine.
Yes,
Totally.
exactly. Yeah, so my whole goal, my whole purpose is just to be a positive influence and help people, you know, start their journey, continue their journey for wildland firefighting. So any way possible that I can do that, you know, I can only go so far of like my own thoughts of like, well, I think people will need this. So I really love receiving feedback from people of like, yeah, that was helpful, but how about this? So I'm like, all right, I can totally do that. So yeah.
Yeah. I know somebody, actually there were, two comments that came in. Buckeye Rush, this was a little while ago, but said, same thing, I never thought about being a firefighter. I have red card training this summer.
Cool.
Hopefully I'll be on the line next year. Super awesome. Congratulations.
Awesome.
And then S.J. Atkinson says, I started my first season as a complete rookie. Your website and YouTube are so helpful.
I love hearing those comments. I love that feedback, so thank you.
Yeah. Like I said, I mean, the fact that you just decided, like, hey, I'm going to do this, that's cool. I think that's phenomenal. Like, that's how people kind of, I don't know, like, it takes those creative people for others to stop and think, like, oh, hey, I didn't think about that. Now I know. Like,
yeah. And by no means when I started, like, I just set up my camera. I'm not fancy, you know. I'm not a videographer. My editing was awful. My first couple of videos are terrible. But you know what? You just gotta do it and get the information out to people, you know. So whatever.
Yeah, and I mean, what I've found too, social media has been really great just for connecting people to. I forget who it was the other day, someone that reached out and I was like, oh, this person's like talking about XYZ. I know somebody else who's also involved with XYZ, so I can connect those people. And I think a lot of the fire community is like that. Mm-hmm. And with social media, it's really awesome to see all of the connections that we can start making or help put people together or give those resources and stuff like that. It's really cool.
And you have been such a big part of that. You have just like spread your network and really are bringing people together, and I absolutely admire and love that. So thank you so much for that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure, like you, I mean, it's very fulfilling to see other people succeed.
Yes.
And there's just something that it's like the feel good, like when you can help other people out and get people on the right path, or, you know, like I'm not an expert. Like, I've been in fire for a handful of years and I work seasonally. Like, I'm not one of those salty old dogs. I don't have 30 years of experience, but I'm like, hey, this is what I'm good at. This is how I can help. Exactly.
And so I actually put out that post of like, hey, if you guys can help me out, I'm looking to gather some like information from new people, and people are just like, I'll do it. And I love that. Like, those are my people. Just like when you meet someone who needs help in something and you're just like, I'll do it. You're like, yes, thank you.
Yeah.
And I love it. And I really feel like I'm drawn to, I want to say male-dominated career fields, but more specifically, it's really communities of diverse people. So fire is just so diverse. And maybe you think, okay, well, I go to my local fire station and it's like the same people I went to high school with, but that's just like your one little crew. But then once you go out to a fire, then you're pulling people from all over the place, and then you have to come together and work as a team. And I love it so much. And so I think the military is that way as well. I mean, people from, of course, all over different backgrounds, experiences, you know, all that stuff. And you have to come together and overcome things and work as a team. And I just thrive. I love it.
Okay.
And so I think all the people who are in fire just, they have that same kind of mindset and drive and determination and discipline. And you're my people. You guys are my people, and I love it. So I just want to give back, and like that, I'm not the expert by any means, but I just want to help where I can and just, raise my hand like, here, I can help you with this if you need, or I can try. So,
yeah. That's what makes fire so fun too. It's just the people that you'll meet.
Yes.
And what's funny, so, talking about fire being a small world, I did my first season in dispatch back in 2016. And then I think two seasons ago, when I was on the engine, I did a little time in dispatch. I ended up meeting this lady, and for the life of me, I was like, I know I've met you before, but I don't know where. Like, you just have the face or the name or something.
Uh-huh.
And she just kept looking at me and was like, I've never met you in my life. I don't know who you are. So the more we started talking, she was like, oh, well, I've worked all over, and she's traveled the world. Phenomenal, just such a wise human being.
Uh-huh.
But she was like, yeah, I used to work in Alaska. And I was like, oh, really? Well, where about? Come to find out, she did some time with my old supervisor. And I was like, you were there that one season. Like, I've met you before. I'm not crazy. So
not crazy. I know you.
Yeah. But, being able to connect with people, like I said, she's been in fire, she's been around the world, she's done all sorts of things, and I, at that time, was new to it, never intended on being in fire. And I mean, it's kind of like the sky's the limit when it comes to fire, in a way.
Yes. Awesome. So, I think the goal for me for helping people, I definitely want to specifically, I think, pinpoint fitness and mental health. I know we talk a lot about mental health, and people are struggling. We see the rise of suicide in firefighters is going up. So I feel like I want to kind of get the new generation of firefighters. That's kind of my passion, is to get them to be strong and resilient and prepared, and knowing hey, I'm going to go into this and it's going to be rough, it's going to be hard, but I can do it, and I'm equipped for it. So I think that's kind of where my focus is going to be. So
awesome. Yeah, well,
I'm excited.
I think it's great. There was, let's see, another comment. Ronnie said she was on an engine. What job is that? So if I'm not mistaken, the person who commented that, we'd actually gone back and forth a little bit, and that person was like, yeah, I'm looking at getting into fire myself. So for somebody coming into it, I mean, you're someone who wants to know about the engine, so that might be something.
Oh, no.
Power. Never a dull moment. Sorry, guys, this is crazy.
You don't need.
All right, be flexible, right? That's a fire thing. Yeah. So I don't know if you want to maybe talk on that really quick too, just for someone who's coming in new.
Yeah. So fire, or being on an engine crew, I was out in Idaho, and it was a 4-man crew. We were on a Type 1, and that's really my jam. I like Type 1. I don't like the little small Type 6s. They're not my jam, but that's okay. It is what it is. Anyway, so I mean, I was just, like I said, I was the rookie. I was the only female on my crew, and I never felt like I was never part of the boys club. They would go do their thing, but I never felt cast out by any means. So I was a part of the crew. We had a good team. But yeah, I mean, you go out to a fire, you have your truck with you. Water is your main source, but also you can dig line and stuff like that. So I don't know what else to talk about being on an engine.
Yeah. No, I mean, I guess that was more too for people getting into fire, I mean, that just goes to show too, like people are at all different types of levels in their knowledge of fire itself, in the hierarchy system. Like when I joined, I had no idea how many positions were involved with fire, right? So
Mm.
like, okay, you have firefighters and or wildland fire technicians, however you refer to them.
Right.
And you have smoke jumpers, and you have, you know, like all of those people that you think of, like, oh yeah, they're out on the line.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's dispatch, there's logistics, there's all the planning stuff, the finance, and there's so many different positions that, like, if you're coming into fire, you might not even know that. Like, I sure as heck didn't.
Yeah.
Had no idea.
Yeah. No, I didn't use as either. You know, my friend, like she said, she already kind of had it in with the guy, so I just was able to apply, and they were basically like, we kind of already interviewed a little bit, and I already had the job. So yeah, going into it, like if you have no experience whatsoever, I would definitely go onto USA Jobs and kind of like play around on there and see. If you're brand new, I would say definitely look at the GS3 positions. That's what you would qualify for. And then if you have like some experience, like you know, some college or something like that, I'd look at GS4 positions. So I know a lot of people like I'd apply for a GS6. Sure, I qualify for that. No. So so those are like just like the baseline, and then you can kind of just go in and look at the job descriptions, the locations. My biggest advice, not biggest advice, but I would just recommend if you can go out of state and apply for somewhere else. I like I said, I would love to have done that. Yes, like money is kind of an issue. Like you'd have to do logistics of like, I would stay at the fire station instead of like getting a house or something. You can if you want, but I would stay at the firehouse, and I would just kind of go and experience another location, different fuel types, different terrain, and just kind of start building that. And I mean, you could do your first season in your hometown, of course, and then go out and just kind of gather that different experience. Again, if you're gonna stay in fire, but if not, you could just do a season. And that's the thing I love about fire is that you don't, especially seasonal jobs, like you don't have to stay if you don't want to. Give it a little taste, see if you like it. If you don't, all right, cool. Like, see, you can go do something else. So,
absolutely.
But just gain some skills, gain some experience, and so I just love it. I think it's so cool. It's a cool job.
Yeah.
It's a hard job. I have to keep saying that because in my videos, like I'm always like hyping it up. I'm like, this is so great, it's so cool, and people are like, it's a dangerous job. You have to tell people it's dangerous. And I'm like, oh no, crap!
But it's also cool.
But I have to say it now. Like, it's dangerous. It's hard, but it's really cool.
Yeah. That's funny.
So.
Respectful of that. I did see before I had to like close out or before my internet totally went haywire. It looked like somebody from Germany had asked about the difference between, I think it was structure in wildland fire. I didn't really read the full thing before it closed out. So I guess before we like freeze up again or before we hop off, do you want to maybe kind of answer that question? Just very brief synopsis. Like it is very different, but
it is very different. I've never done structure before, but I mean, it's just like houses, buildings, stuff like that. Whereas fire, where wildland, you can do wildland urban interface, and like you can protect structures, but you're not actually. In my experience, I've never like actually gone into a house and like put a house out. But you know, maybe like on the outside, kind of like spray it down. But we've never actually like go inside the building or anything like that. So difference between city FD and wildland firefighter. Yes. So yeah, I think of like a city firefighter. You're going in to the actual building. You're like dressed head to toe. You have all the gear on, the mask and everything, and you're actually like going into a building and putting it out and grabbing people and stuff like that. Where in fire, my experience, I've never done anything like that. We did structure protection around a house, and that's like as close as I got to actually like any kind of structure protection. And I know people don't call it structure protection. I've heard other people call it something else, and I can't remember what it is, but that's what I'm used to it being called. So
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think I've heard predominantly like structure protection.
yeah,
That seems to
yeah.
be.
Because I said it before, and people are like, "That's not what it's called," and I'm like, "Oh, what is it called then?" Because
Yeah.
I know it as, but
And I mean, I think too, what makes Wildland unique, and I could be very wrong, so if someone's here and can correct me, please do. But Wildland is, I mean, there's like our national network, right? So you could be in, I don't know, like you could be in Colorado
mm-hmm.
and they need somebody over in Region 5, so California. They can call you over or order you up. So, like, from the dispatching side, it would be receiving the orders or sending orders, coordinating people to get to different areas versus structure like county or city fire department. My understanding is like those people are tied to that particular area. They're not necessarily going out for 2 weeks at a time. They're not traveling as much. So it's a difference too in like being stationary versus traveling.
Yeah, that's great. That's awesome. Yes.
Yeah, and I think like for Wildland as well, there are different seasons. So depending on where you are, either in the US or Germany or Australia, whatever, like there are different parts of the country, different times of the year where those areas tend to have more fire activity versus like the structure side of things, like you're dealing with burning houses and whatnot, like all year round.
Yeah.
So that's another difference as well, I'd say.
Awesome. Yes. Thank you for adding on. That's fantastic.
Yeah. Trying to think of like all the things, like, what do I know? Awesome. James says we make baked potatoes out of structures.
Yes.
I mean,
we do.
It's a good way to put it, I guess.
Yes.
Oh, man.
That's awesome.
Cool.
Before
like I said,
I just wanted to let people know that, so I am trying to, I have an initiative of making $25,000 to put into the wildland firefighting community. Of course, I don't want to try and like pull that from the fire community. I want to pull that from like outside to bring it in. However, I'm asking people just to donate like $1. And I really feel like that can make a huge difference. If this reaches thousands of people and people just give $1, like you have thousands of dollars. So I have an initiative just to try and raise 25 grand. So if anyone out there wants to share, just, trying to utilize everyone and work as a team, and because I can try and do it by myself, but that's not like as productive, I think, is reaching out to other people. So
sure.
$1. That's all I'm asking for, is just to invest $1 into the wildland firefighting community, and I would love to be able to pour that back in. So
yeah,
that's an initiative that I have. So far I've had people give very graciously. We've raised $80 of the 25,000.
Yeah.
So I'm stoked.
I mean, you got to start somewhere. That is awesome.
Exactly. Yeah.
Very
So,
cool.
and while I'm doing that, I'm also I'm building a program for people to help them with their mental and physical preparation for wildland firefighting. But I'm also going to build a community into that. So, like I said, there's that Facebook group, the Wildland Firefighters. I want to kind of build something like that, because I know I've heard people say, yeah, there's communities out there for the spouses of firefighters, but not really support for the firefighters, which isn't really true. Like, I know there's tons of resources out there for people. So, but I just want to be another outlet for people to come to if, if they're not able to find something else. So I'm in the process of building this. Like I said, I have my YouTube community over there, but I want to try and kind of build something a little bit different. So yeah, that's another thing that 25 grand is going to help with, so that I can give back. And I want to do that's going to include weekly lives, so I can teach, I can mentor, and just really, just give my time and help people. So that's just future things that I'm really working on. So I know your channel or this chat is about like balance. Like, how do you balance fire and all of this? It is very difficult. Working, being a mom of really small kids, and then also trying to build this. But it's really important to me. Like, I want to give back, and I want to help as much as I can. So I'm just trying to give my extra time, my availability to help people who are looking to get into wildland firefighting, or a rookie, you know, or even people who are seasoned if they want to. But I feel like they're probably already kind of like set in their ways. They already kind of know what, you know, they want to do. But I welcome everyone. Everyone is welcome.
That's so cool. I'm really excited to see that too, just because I think the more that's out there for supporting each other, the more that's to help benefit the community, like it's just going to add to the success,
Yeah.
right? Like as a collective,
Yeah.
yeah, that's phenomenal.
So again, I want to thank you so much for your time, for your platform, for being able to come out on here and just chat with you. So again, I really want to thank you for bringing so many different agencies and people together. I know you're doing your giveaway, so definitely people get in on the giveaway.
Yeah.
And it's going to be so awesome.
Yeah. Well, thank you too. I'm just blown away by all of the amazing people that I've met, and like having you on. This has been great. I know I've wanted to talk with you for a while, so this has been super fun. And like I said, thank you so much for dealing with the power and the internet and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think what you're doing is super important, super helpful. You know, like we've already had a couple of people who were saying like, yeah, this is really great. Like your resources are very beneficial. So keep doing what you're doing. And as long as it's okay with you, when I do like the posting of the recording, I can add in either like your Instagram or your YouTube, your website, whatever you want. If you want to send that to me, I'll include it. So for anybody watching or listening, you guys can definitely go check out more of what Ronni's doing, because she's got some good stuff out there.
Thank you so much. I genuinely appreciate it. You are awesome. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I will be getting more candles. Don't you worry. That collection is going to grow.
So I got to do the spring collection. I'm hoping to have out by like this week. That's my plan. So yeah, new things coming.
Awesome. Cool. So excited. So you keep doing what you're doing because you're awesome.
Well, thanks. Little air fist bump. Here we go. Awesome. Cool. Well, thanks, Ronni. And everybody else, thank you guys for tuning in. Thanks, and we'll let you get back to it.
All right. Have a good one.
I'll see you later.
Bye, guys.
You too. Bye.